From the bays of Singapore to the mountains of Suzuka, welcome along to round 17 of 24 of the Breakout Racing League Realistic Performance Championship and the Japanese Grand Prix. We are here in the land of the rising sun, in a country that is made up of mostly mountains, 88% to be exact. Japan is also the 11th largest population in the world, with over 126 million currently resided in Japan, meaning plenty of eyes are on these drivers here tonight in Suzuka. Speaking of Suzuka, let's talk about the circuit then. The Suzuka International Racing Course is made up of 18 corners, 10 to the right and 8 to the left, which makes up the 5.8 kilometer, 3.6 mile distance of the only figure 8 circuit on the calendar. The average speed is around 230 kilometers per hour, 143 miles per hour. That is assisted by the Seoul DRS straight into turn 1, reaching speeds around 315 kilometers per hour. However, that is not the best overtaking spot on the driver, I guess, that they have to their liking. That belongs to turn 16 after 130R. Look out for potential moves there here tonight. It's going to be fun. With 18 corners and relatively quick speeds, the right tire compound is a necessity. Pirelli have brought the C3, C2, and C1 compounds, with the C3 being the red-walled softs, the C2 being the yellow-walled mediums, and the C1 being the white-walled hards. The inners and full wets are also available to the drivers if they need it. Right now, the sky is out, and the wets are not needed at all. The driver on the right compound tonight will be the most successful, no doubt about it. Suzuka has held 45 Grand Prix. And out of those 45, 13 have been championship deciders. Although the championship will not be decided tonight, the clock is ticking down for Unsighted Port to close in on Miniko, and he has his best opportunity tonight. Miniko is not here. He is being reserved with Mumu in the Red Bull, so that gap, 35 points between Miniko and Unsighted Port, has a chance to go even closer. Deer Hunter sits third in the championship. He moved up a place from Bailey a week ago. Bailey sits fourth. Cookie sits fifth. He's gone up one position. He's now 5 points behind Bailey in fifth. Sixth goes Taylor Clan. He went down a position. Cookie jumped him a week ago. Mumu sits seventh. He has a good chance for some points tonight. Ron Swanson eighth. Ferrari at ninth. Spy Raptor in 10th with Crispy running out in 11th. 2 points back. Ferrari Nut and Supply Raptor are both tied on points. Who gets the upper hand there? And the constructors fight. 3 points is the gap. That is going to be crucial for Red Bull. Can they get closer? Or can McLaren pull away? We'll find out at the end of the Japanese Grand Prix. McLaren leads by 3 points over Red Bull, 355 to 352. Mercedes sit third in the championship, 41 points back from the championship lead. They're closing in. AlphaTauri sits fourth, 145 points back from the lead, only 104 points back from Mercedes. Alpine sits 66 behind them in fifth. Ferrari sits 23 behind Alpine in sixth. Aston Martin sit with 52 points to their name in seventh, only 20 points ahead of Alfa Romeo, who have a 5-point cushion to Haas, who is ahead of Williams by only 6 points, and they round out the top 10 for the constructors. Now my name is Hey Castro, joined alongside by Bois once again, and the clock is ticking down. The season is coming to an end. We have 8 rounds to go, and Unsighted Port needs to close in on Miniko. 35 points, once again the gap. What do you think he has to do tonight to stay within reach in the next couple of rounds? Because it's going to be tough, but can he do it?
Well, like I said, with Miniko not here, he has the advantage of possibly getting 25, maybe 26 points, closing that gap to, 9? And so does Deer Hunter. Deer Hunter is 50 points back, but he can also make a big charge and take a big chunk out of Miniko's lead. So theoretically, by the end of tonight, we could potentially have 3 drivers within the shot of the championship going in the next race.
And that next race will be the American Grand Prix in the United States. And, the Circuit of the Americas. That'll be fun indeed to watch for a lot of drivers. Their home Grand Prix is a week from now. But Deer Hunter, speaking of the American, goes provisional pole, 29.3 in the Mercedes. And now can he close in? That's what everyone has to chase. Well, speaking of chasing, he's chasing Miniko and the Red Bull team, and Red Bull is closing in on McLaren, chasing them. Well, we have the pleasure to speak with Zach tonight, the team principal for Red Bull and for AlphaTauri. Welcome.
Hello.
So, let's talk about this. The Japanese Grand Prix is technically a home race for Red Bull, as the Honda power unit is in the back of that car, and the Honda plant is not too far away from the Suzuka circuit. So, is this a special occasion for a team like Red Bull, for AlphaTauri? Speaking of, tweaking goes provisional P2, 2/10 off of Deer Hunter on the mediums, by the way. Would it be special occasion for you guys to have a good result here, or is it just business as usual for both teams?
Well, if you asked me that for Coda, I think I would have had a different answer. But for tonight, I think it's just normal business, really. think our priority is just to close the gap on McLaren and Mercedes and the constructors. Really, with Zeno being out, it's going to be a very different task, really, for tweaking. And Mumu has experience being in the Red Bull, fortunately, so we're going to have to see both of these Red Bull drivers step up to the plate, really, and pick up the pieces that Zeno has left off for these drivers for Japan here. But AlphaTauri, I think the expectations for me, at least, is just to beat the Alpine, because we need to lock P4 in the constructors as close as we can, or as quick as we can, really. So, really, that's my expectations, really, for Japan. But knowing how effective these curbs are, I think I'm expecting a lot of ups and downs, really, for these drivers, for just everyone, really, just Grand Prix. So, it's just expect unexpected, really, for my drivers.
Speaking of, Mumu goes provisional pole, so he's gotten that one locked down. And you said about the curbs, Alphanesis invalidates at Degna 1, so that's 2 up and downs. But speaking of that, Red Bull currently leads the drivers, and once again are in view of that Constructors' Championship. We talked about that a couple of times already. How crucial are these next 8 races for your team and for AlphaTauri? Because they're still in a championship fight too. They're not out of this, even though they're not in the Constructors' fight necessarily. They could still be in fight for third.
To be honest with AlphaTauri, I don't really see them contend with the likes of McLaren, Red Bull, and Mercedes. Really, the drivers and the car difference is just way too much for these drivers. We're gonna have to need like an absolute, like just something pulling out of the hat of these drivers. But I'm not expecting P3, P2, or P1 for AlphaTauri. I think P4 will be the best. Really, I'm not saying that like no disrespect to my AlphaTauri drivers, but I think the car gap is too big for them to gain. But for Red Bull, I think it's a whole different story. I'm expecting a sweep of constructors and drivers, but I'm not going to expect all in one race. We're just going to take it one race at a time, really.
We'll see how that race goes out for the Japanese Grand Prix and for your team, and both AlphaTauri and for Red Bull. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for your time, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for allowing me to be on here.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
So, going through qualifying 118 drivers so far. We may have a couple joining later on in qualifying. Supply Raptor goes up to 7th while we were waiting. Boss Cookie to 4th. Etronha ahead of his teammate in the other Ferrari, Ron Swanson, to 6th. Supply Raptor 7th ahead of Bailey. Bailey splits both Williams cars. Is he on another flying lap? He is. Actually is going to the line this time. Can he improve from his?
Oh, Ron has retired.
That is in the pit lane, I believe. So I think he believes he's safe.
Interesting.
Bailey does improve, but not his position. Interesting.
Yeah, I'd say interesting enough. Tweaking, doing a run on mediums, potentially holding off a set of softs. Maybe he can use that for Q3 or potentially even for the race. So he's been that's the first one that's decided to gamble a bit to save a set. And with that pace, I think that's probably a smart decision.
We'll see how that plays out for him. He's ahead of both Alpines so far at the moment. Toneless Death reserving in for, I believe, Chile, sorry. So he is going to be... No, actually it was Crispy. I was right. Chile is being reserved in from Mean Fern.
Taylor came on a lap and got massively blocked there by the Mercedes. I believe that was Cookie. I couldn't tell which one. I believe it is. He's in Sector 1. That caught Taylor off guard. He'll have to re-rack and most likely do another lap.
Fortunately for him, he has that chance to do so. With this being qualifying 1, we still have around 10 or so minutes to go. By the way, Alphanesis goes up to 4th, ahead of Boss Cookie, 29.5. So far, there's 3 Honda-powered cars in the top 5, looking really great for the Honda, I guess, the Honda teams, and Honda's home Grand Prix.
Yeah, this is a very important race for them. For both Red Bull and their fight for the Constructors' Championship, and really for AlphaTauri, P4 would be a really good result for them overall. And see what Mean Fern can do. As forgot, who does Mean Fern setting in for?
Chile.
Chile.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, no.
No, I'm trying to think.
Not Chile, I'm sorry. Mumu, who's still in for Minico. There we go, I got it. Brain's a little slow. Chile's right here. He's in 15th. I'm sorry, Chile.
And according to one of our drivers, we're expecting a dry to wet race. So that could throw a little bit of strategy to Q2 if you want to predict when the rain's going to come.
Well, the strategy here is around a soft to medium regardless, so I think, honestly, these drivers may try to get onto the medium compounded tire, stretch out as long as they possibly can.
Right.
Because, hey, if you have to pit and it doesn't rain halfway into the race, I mean, softs are going to be the quickest tire, so might as well gamble at that standpoint. But if they can't get in, the softs are going to have to be stretched. How long they can be stretched is going to be a question as well. So far, everyone in the top 10, except for Tweaking in third, have actually gone for that soft compounded tire. Yellow flag through with the final sector. Actually, now it's yellow flag everywhere.
I think
except for sector 1.
I think it's just guys initially going slow on their laps, letting ones through. This is a very narrow track, so you want to be very conscious of who's around you, who's on a lap or not. Last thing you want is a 5-grid grid spot penalty.
Well, a week ago we had a pretty narrow track, no runoff. Now we have pretty much the same thing here tonight. That was a big slide from Luciano going into the chicane there. Watch out for that in turn 16. It could be a great overtaking spot. Luciano goes up to 5th. He gets past Boss Cookie. And Taylor Clan up to 3rd. He does re-rack and do another lap, and he's gone 3rd quickest. Good lap from him. Side of Porto has actually gone the other way. He's gone on the medium compounded tire on a flying lap right now through second Degna. Do you think he can get up in there? Tweaking's up in the top 5 on the medium compounded tire. This will save the McLaren a set of softs if he can, allowing for extra runs into qualifying 3 and 2 if necessary. Does that pretty much make his bed? Is he going soft compound for the race?
It could make his bed. With the medium compound, it requires you to basically nail this lap, even though they should have the pace to not worry about getting into Q2, as he's coming around Spoon and up the long straight, and he'll meet 130R.
This could be a pretty incredible overtaking place if some drivers are daring enough to do so through 130R, which we could see, but not in the wet.
No, not in the wet, and even in the dry, it requires really one driver to have, be able to roll the dice and go for it. And also, it requires the other driver to be respectful. It's very tight, very narrow, and 2 cars can't go side by side there. One's gonna have to yield.
Definitely, we've seen pretty big crashes going through 130R in the past, especially in the Breakout Racing League tier racing. Last couple of seasons, actually, I can remember a season ago in Tier 2, we had that same kind of incident. We didn't catch it from our cameras, but we did hear the end of it from Neymar and from Vacedas at the exit of 130R. So it could happen again. It could not. Hopefully it does not. So far, we have a lot of drivers. Actually, everyone in the top 18, except for Chile, have set their flying lap. So it's going to be, so far, only the Aston Martin yet to set a time. And right now, the cut line for the top 15 is Bailey at 131.947. He's not too far away from DXC Ishigo. That's going to be close for a battle for 15th, the cut line.
It'd be interesting to have one Haas in this race and one Alfa Romeo in this race. Interesting enough, we have, Williams, of Toneless Death, and... no, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, there you go. Supply in the Williams at 13th. That's a pretty good lap for the Williams.
Yep, him. Supply Raptor doing really good once again in that Williams car. Toneless Death once again reserving for Crispy. I got it right after saying it was Chili about 4 times. Once again, I apologize about that. Chili's in 18th, still in the pit lane. So something has gone on apparently in the lobby. We could possibly, hopefully not see a lobby reset, but it could definitely not be out of the question. For some reason, we've had some issues as of late tonight. So hopefully we don't have that continue on in the race.
A couple of yellow sides, I believe that's just the McLaren there. Who is that? Unsighted. He's actually going to do another lap on his mediums.
Well, his teammate Taylor Clant retires in the pit lane. Mumu does as well from that lead spot for provisional pole in qualifying 1. 3 minutes left to go in the session. It's now or never for these drivers in the bottom 3. I would say bottom 5, but there's only 3 drivers below 15th. That would be DC Ishigo, KP21, and Chile. And Chile's having some issues himself, so he may not be able to get a lap in. Ferrari Nut does get a lap in. He goes up to 9th, gets ahead of both Ferraris. So Ron Swanson may be all right.
He should be all right, but we'll see. He's 4/10 quicker than Mean Fern in supply, and then 7/10 quicker of Toneless. then 1.3 ahead of the cut line. But we've seen how fast these tracks can evolve through the end of a session, where drivers can all of a sudden just gain a half a second.
They definitely can. It's not out of the question. Right now, the gap from 15th to 16th, the driver at risk being Bailey, he has only a 29 millisecond buffer. DXC, she goes on a flying lap. Bailey's on an out lap. He'll go into the line in a couple seconds' time. He's going down the run into 130R with a McLaren behind him, that being inside of port on a flying lap, maybe giving him a little bit of slipstream. Thankfully for the McLaren, he's trying to go and improve his race time. He's 6th right now. He wants to get up a little bit higher to make sure he's safe, which I believe he should be safe as well. We're going to have a couple of drivers. Actually, DXC should go backing off his flying lap. He will have enough time to set another one, though.
Yep, that's the only yellow. He's kind of by himself. And then we got the AlphaTauri of Mean Fern. And then we got Supply, I believe, starting a lap.
So is the Haas of Bailey. He's going into turns 3 and 4 in a couple seconds' time. So Mean Fern, he's going to the spoon. He's right now in 12th position for that AlphaTauri team. Sorry, once again, he's trying to go chase after the two Ferraris in front of him. About 4/10 or so is the gap between him and Ron Swanson. Right now, he is safe for now, but how much better of a lap can Raptor, Toneless, Bailey, KP21, and DXT Ishigo do? We'll have to find out in a second. Chili's still having some issues getting out of the pit lane, so he may not be able to get a time in. 1 minute and 20 seconds, he won't get a time in. Mean Fern, on the other hand, he will get a time in, though. Through 18, he goes up and does not improve his position. He'll have another lap to go improve if he can. Behind him, though, Toneless Death in the Alpine. He's going to go up to the line and start his flying lap once again. He's P14. He could be a driver at risk if Bailey or DXC Ishigo improves. Speaking of Bailey, he's going through Spoon now. And the exit on the run to the 130R. He could be safe with a good lap here.
Let's see, he comes to complete sector 2. He is almost 3/10 quicker. He's on a personal best. So give him a lot,
Right now, the
lot more breathing room.
driver at risk. Yes, he will. If he can continue it to the line. He goes to the line now. He's at risk right now. Can he improve? He does improve by about a 10th or so away from Toneless. That may be fine.
Probably going to come down to DXD and KP21 to decide if that is good enough. DXD's 3/10 up on his sector 1. Coming around the Spoon. He's going to have the AlphaTauri to deal with ahead of him. I don't know if he's on a lap or not. So far, still good. He hasn't validated. Let's see where he is at the end of sector 2. Oh, 6/10 up. It's going to be close.
Right now, it's about 6/10 gap between Bailey and DXC Ishigo. This could be the battle for 15th. One's not making it to qualifying 2. Checker flag is flown. This is the last possible chance. DXC Ishigo around, runs a bit wide. He goes to the line and gets ahead of Bailey up into 14.
So does Toneless.
Now Bailey's in the bottom 5. Toneless is now going to be at the driver at risk. He goes to the line. Can he improve? He does, up to 10th. DXC's now the driver at risk once again. Is Bailey on a lap? No, he's not. He's out of qualifying.
That will be
and it was close indeed. He wasn't safe in the end. 16th for Bailey, 17th for KP21. Chile can't get a lap in. That's qualifying 1 done.
Unfortunate for Chile. So we'll see tweaking and inside of port. They gambled. They did mediums and solidly got into the top 10, top 7. And then you look at the back top 3 that did not make it. You have a Renault engine, you have a Ferrari engine, and you have a Mercedes engine. So
right now, not exactly sure what's going to go on with the qualifying, as we could have a lobby restart. Still not out of the question. Oh!
yeah, Bailey hit the end of pit wall, and then I believe that was Chile Luciano that hit him. I believe that was Luciano.
Well, Raptor hit him as well, and is now out of qualifying. He will start 15th.
Interesting. Saw the beginning part of that with the Haas, and I thought that was Luciano that hit him. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that was Supply that ran in the back of Bailey.
Could be. Not necessarily sure there. But qualifying 1 is done, and Dustin Mumu back on the Red Bull once again, reserving for Minico. He tops the timing sheets ahead of Deer Hunter by about a 1/10.5. Taylor the third. I am tweaking to 4th on the medium compounded tire. Boss Cookie in 5th. Alpines to 6th. Port on the mediums with Luciano, Ferrari, Nut, and Toneless running out the top 10, 9th and 10th for the Alpines. Ahead of both Ferraris, 11th and 12th for Ed Tronha and Ron Swanson. Mean Fern, DXC Ishigo, 13th and 14th. Supply Raptor made it into qualifying 2 and crashed going into the pit lane because of that debacle. He's now going to start 15th. Bailey, KP21, and Chile all out of qualifying 1 for the Japanese Grand Prix.
And interesting enough, with the kind of mayhem at the end of pit road, no one, to my knowledge, got any penalties out of that.
So the forecast is having a little bit of rain forecasted in a couple minutes' time, supposedly. So maybe around 5 to 10 minutes. Possibly we could see some rain be affected in this qualifying 2 session. But we don't even know if we're doing this qualifying 2 session so far. We'll let you know and keep you updated on that if we have a lobby restart. Some drivers are having some connection issues. So far, though, the Alfa Romeo DXC Ishigo is going to be coming out on a flying lap. Same with the Alpine and the Red Bull. I believe that being Ferrari Nut. And I am tweaking behind. Excuse me.
And let's see who comes out. So far, everyone's got soft selected, but Toneless and Deer. And with the impending rain, looks like everyone is coming out, and there is rain. I do see it now. It's on the pit straight. It's very light at the moment, but we have seen it where in a span of a couple of minutes, it will go from just sprinkling to the track is borderline marginal for slicks. So this could benefit the guys up front with BXD. Then you have behind him, I believe that is Toneless, or it's one of the Alpines. It is Ferrari Nut. Then you have, oh, we already have one car sliding. That's Mumu. Looks like he still has a front wing.
Top of Dunlop.
It's raining. It's starting to pick up, the rain.
This is exactly what we saw, I believe, 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, in Russia.
We've seen it. We saw it at Austria, too, where it was marginal. Like, you had to simply nail that lap. Problem is, that's a 1 minute and 8 second lap time. This is a 1 minute 45, so a lot could change in one lap.
It definitely can. And with the runoff not being too, I guess, forgiving for the drivers, we could have some possibilities of some issues. DXC Ishigo is going to be the first one on his flying lap behind him. Ferrari Nut and the Alpine, they'll be the first ones to go across the line with this relatively damp track, but it's still decently dry. But the guys behind him may not have that same luxury. Tweaking's on a flying lap, Port's on a flying lap, Cookie, Tronha, Deer Hunter, all on flying laps. Everyone except for Alphanesis is out of the pit lane, so they may take advantage of this. But how much of this track advantage will help out DXC Ishigo and Ferrari Nut and some of these drivers like Tweaking that are earlier on in this queue compared to the guys behind who now just crossed the line. The last one being, I believe, the Aston Martin of Luciano.
And so far, DXC's kept it validated. Shows to still have grip, even with the track becoming more and more damp. So far, no one's gone off that I can tell.
Going into Spoon. Behind the Alfa Romeo. Once
DXD saves it, though.
What a save. Incredible there. Yellow flag. Through the hairpin, I believe that is.
I think that's
not
just
exactly
a wad.
Sure.
I think that's the wad of cars. And I think just struggling for grip.
Definitely is. DXC Ishigo going through turn 18 for the final time behind him. Look at the run from Ferrari Nut. He goes provisional pole, and Ferrari Nut absolutely destroys that lap. 31.7. Tweaking, he goes even faster. 30.0. So right now, Tweaking on provisional pole. Port goes faster.
Oh,
by
DXC's around.
seconds.
He
DXC
saves it
spins
again.
around. Wow. That's impressive.
Well, we're not that far out of Tokyo, are we? 'Cause
Not too far, I don't believe.
that was a drift
Bosco
and a
getting
half.
third. Yes, it was. Thankfully I stayed on for that. Taylor to fourth, Deer Hunter fifth, Ron Swanson sixth, Luciano now goes sixth, Ron is now seventh. Both Alpines 8th and 9th, running ahead of Toneless. Meanford to 10th, Deeks to Ishigo to 11th, Mumu to 12th, especially with that spin. That's not going to help him, but this rain may hurt the Red Bull driver. Etronha, he's invalidated. That may hurt him as well. Alphanesis is on an out lap. These laps, these drivers, Mumu, Etronha, and Alphanesis may be in trouble here with this wet track.
Yeah, it looks like the track is now, you can just see it become more grayer and more water on top of it. It's to see if anyone's having to go. I thought tweaking was, but he's abandoned it. Surprisingly, no one's crashed out. We've seen TXT have 2 snaps. Let's save it, but luckily we've seen no one retire yet. Hopefully I don't...
Oh, no, you say that. Port's in the wall. He almost lost his... That could have been qualifying over. Thankfully for him, he keeps it going, and I don't think there's much, if any, wing damage to that McLaren. That was close.
I don't see anything.
Whew, I bet he's not feeling it right now. He may need to change of pants.
You might as well just come into the pits right now if you're inside of Port. I mean, even if someone does beat that time, the gap to P10, actually P11, he is basically 3.2 seconds clear. So Port just needs to take it easy coming back here to the pits, if I'm honest.
He only has a couple more corners to go, one of them being 130R though, so it could definitely end poorly. It doesn't. He takes it well. So he's going to be traveling back to the pit lane. He goes. Alphanesis, he did start a flying lap through into the first sector. That was careful with that curve on that left-hand side. Now he's going to go through the first sector once again. We'll see how far or what his first sector timing is. The first place. Timing zone in a few seconds' time into Degna 1. 32.888.
Yeah, we're seeing
Everyone's
guys
basically retiring the pit lane now.
pretty much. It might come down to Alphanesis. Just the rain is picking up. So far, he's having it.
Mumu improved by 5 seconds, by the way. He's up to 5th, so he's going to be safe into qualifying 3 and in the top 10 shootout.
So far, it's
Now will Alphanesis do it, though?
And so far, Antron has not set a time as well. Oh, he almost runs wide there.
Alphanesis now closing up. You see the left-hand side of him is going to be Deeks Ishigo into 130R. He's going to have a couple more corners still to go. Be careful on traction through 18. What can Alphanesis do? He wants to get in the top 10. That would be preferable, especially for the Honda-powered Alpha Tauri at the Suzuka circuit. Can he get there? He does. What a lap.
Wow.
To 6th, 3/10 off of pole. Maybe it's not raining too much.
I think it's just only going to get worse. I mean, Alphanesis had no choice but to have a go. The rest, I don't think you look at that time going, hey, we should go out again. No.
He coped brilliantly on that lap. He got himself into the top 10. Unfortunately, that knocks out Toneless Death. But Deer Hunter, as it stands, is on the medium compounded tire.
That's a very good
He
point.
will be the only one to start there.
Be interesting what he can do for Q3. If this rain does continue to pick up, like we're going to see enters, maybe wets. But I don't think you're going to see anything. I don't think you're going to see really anyone go out now. And I mean, maybe Toneless or Mean Fern, but I mean, I don't see that their time's improving right now.
We'll see. Etronha's going to do a flying lap now. He's going to have the track basically to himself, barring the 2 cars over in Spoon, one being Luciano and the other one being Alphanesis. But both of them pretty much may go to the pit lane in a few seconds' time. Look at the track conditions.
It's not nice. He ran a 131.
Almost lost the car.
Yeah, he did run a 131, which would have been good enough near around 10th, but I don't see him replicating that in these conditions.
We'll see. first sector was a 35.6, so that was a couple seconds down on Alphanesis' time, so it may be a little bit too much rain on the track. Yellow flag through the first sector. I believe that is just another driver retiring in the pit lane.
I would believe you're right, and unfortunately for Ed, I would just abandon this.
Well, you know, might as well get a lap in if you can keep it on the track. DXC Ishikawa retires in the pit lane, so now it's going to be basically Ed Hunt, the only one on track. Everyone else in the pit lane, and there's only a couple of drivers who've yet to retire in the pit lane, those being the two Alpines, the Meanfern, and both Mercedes, along with Luciano. We'll see what can Ed Hunt do through 130R. Keeps it going straight, so that's one thing he can be proud about, because it is absolutely pouring down, going through 16 and a 17. What can he do in the Ferrari? He just backs out of it, so that's probably wise. Past the pit lane, though.
Yeah, there's no point. Be interesting to see.
The words of Charles Leclerc. It's raining too much.
Well, Boss Cookie has decided to go out. Interesting.
This is a risk.
It's a risk if you crash, because if you do, yeah, you're in the top 10 shootout, but you'll start 10th. Is that really worth the risk?
He
It
doesn't have a helmet, by the way.
Oh, doing the Mark Webber tribute. Lovely.
The scenes, if that was added in.
I think Mark didn't care. Like, oh, you might get a fine or a penalty. Webber's like, I'm leaving, so why do I care? What are
you going to do about it?
Interesting enough. I guess we can just, there's nothing else going on. You remember when Alonso gave Webber that ride in Singapore where he got that penalty?
Yes.
Well, unfortunately, Luca Di Montevanillo, I bother that name, he invited Webber to the Ferrari factory, but that didn't become fruition because Luca left at the end of 2014. Because even he said that was kind of a stupid penalty by Derek Warwick.
Well, now Cookie is the only car in the session, so he may just take it there into the pit lane.
He's not even
without damage.
I mean, you could just tell he's not pushing it. You kind of wonder if he meant to go out there on intermediates and didn't know he had softs up, because that would make sense. I mean, why not? I mean, if you think it's going to be like this going into Q3, I mean, yeah, you're not going to improve your time, but it'll at least give you knowledge of what the track will be like.
Very true. There's the DRS disabled, but the session is basically over now. As soon as we see Bosky retire in the pit lane, we should move on to qualifying 3. And, well, it was kind of a one-shot qualifying if you think about it. Only every driver got to set about one lap, barring Mumu, who did 2, but actually improved on the second lap, so props to him in the top 10.
I tell you, props to Alphanese. When he came out late, I thought, this is not going to be ideal, because, I mean, we remember Austria. I mean, after drivers are having problems just setting their first lap. And I'll be darned, Alphanese, well played.
Well played indeed. Put himself in the top 10, so he now has a chance to go grab that pole position. If he does, I guess, have the pace on the intermediates, I believe it will be. So going into qualifying 3, though. And in the top 10.
Not really. Look what Boss Cookie's doing now. I think he meant to go out there.
He's going out again.
I think he meant to go out there on intermediates and didn't realize he had soft selected. This is a brilliant move. Because
it kind of is.
I mean, if you've not done a lot of wet practice, this is a free practice. A minute 40, I don't think you're going to have the time to come back here and start a lap, but you can probably take basically this whole track at speed.
True. He does going to have a little bit of, I guess, warming up going into qualifying 3, because it will be intermediate conditions, at least at the start. I'm not sure exactly how it will be at the end of that qualifying session, but he's going to be on this intermediate compounded tire. Let's see what he can do through the Suzuka International Racing Course. 18 corners. Ooh, almost lost the car already. It's just kind of warming up.
You know, just kind of changes the run for the pole. I mean, for some reason, in conditions like these, it's favored the Alpine this season. And yeah, Ferrari not in P10. Toneless will not make it. But I kind of go back.
So once again,
I go back to Hungary with that one.
That's true. I believe the last pole position from the Alpine. I think it was just Monaco, wasn't it?
I think it was just Monaco.
Qualifying sessions.
You had both Alpines in there, and then you had, I believe, Bailey P2. And
obviously you had the Hungary race, the Austria race. Those were some pretty good races for the Alpine team. And there was a little bit of weather affected them both times. He will actually get a lap, by the way.
Oh, well. Everyone that's retired's just now not happy with Cookie, but see how treacherous these curbs are. We know they're
some extra practice, so.
We know these curbs are treacherous in the dry. Does Cookie even get? No, he stays about 1 foot away from him.
He's trying to stay off those curves, making sure he does not put himself in the barrier, and he has a car to at least try to go for pole in qualifying 3. Going through the first sector in a couple seconds' time. Let's see what his first sector is. We're not going to know how well that is. It's a 36.4.
He's 3.7 down.
We don't know if that's a good time in the intermediate conditions or not, but he's going to have a little bit of preparation going into qualifying 3 compared to the rest of the drivers. Checkered flag has flown. Obviously, he's still the only one in the session. So qualifying 3, you're going to have the top 10 shootout. The driver's not making it. Toneless Death, Meanfern, DXT Ishigo, and Ed Tronha. Unsighted Port topping the tables. So far, though, everyone's on the softs except for Deer Hunter. But Cookie's going to have some practice. I keep saying this, but I mean, there's nothing else really to talk about with him. The only car. Oh, almost lost the car, by the way, through Spoon. He's going to be the only one going with a little bit of practice going into momentum with that intermediate practice through this session or so. Let's see what he can do going through 130R now into the final sector.
He's coming to complete it. Will he complete it or go into pit lane? Let's see. Nope, he'll complete it.
I thought he almost lost the car. He almost did lose the car. Into the line he goes.
So
30.1. That's actually not that bad.
It was 8 seconds difference. He ran at 138, give or take.
There you go.
So we'll see if.
Sound right whenever you said 130.
We'll see if that's kind of the benchmark speed. And
we'll find out. Inside of Port has gone provisional pole and topped the timing sheets in Q2. Sorry. Outside of Port ahead of Iron Tweaking, Boss Cookie, Taylor Clan, the 2 McLarens in the top 5, and both Red Bulls also in the top 5 with Mumu in 5th. Alphanesis, Deer Hunter 6th, 7th, Luciano, Ron Swanson, and Ferrari Nut. The top 10, Toneless Death, Beanfern, DXT Ishiko, and Ed Tronha all out of qualifying 2. We're going to have 1 Ferrari, 1 Alpine, both Mercedes, both Red Bulls, both McLarens, an AlphaTauri, and an Aston Martin. Who gets pole?
Oh, Outside of Port's been on form, and he knows what he needs to do. Fastest so far is in qualifying, so let's see if that trend continues. If anything, with this, the rumor of this being a dry to wet race, most of these guys like Alphanese, and especially Boss Cookie, they'll know what the track is, that it's worse with slicks. And it is pouring now.
They're on, what tires are they on? They're going to be on intermediate tires, so once again, it's going to be that little bit damp. Let's have the drivers seeing who can grab that provisional pole and who can grab that pole position for the Japanese Grand Prix. Red Bull wants it to be them. Mercedes would love it for them to be them. And McLaren need it to be them.
Well, those top three, I mean, of all those three teams that really need it, Mercedes needs it. Deere really needs it, being the fact that he starts on mediums. You know, he's kind of left himself as the door open to, if the rain comes in halfway mark of the race, to where he can just switch over the inters if needed, if the timing's right.
Deere's going to hope that timing is right. Everyone else has to get off those soft compounded tires and onto the intermediates. Or actually, I'm sorry, onto the mediums, and then going on the intermediates, because that would lose them an extra 20 to 25 seconds or so. I believe the pit lane average time loss is about 22 or so seconds. So, with that being said, if Deere doesn't have to pit, that's an insurmountable amount of time he could gain on the rest of the field. He would love that strategy to work, but right now he needs to make sure he can, I guess, make it to that point, and the rain needs to come then. But first, we need to find out who's going to grab pole. That's more important right now. Right now, Ferrari Nut is the first one out. He's going to be the first one across the line, but there's a pushing Red Bull behind him, that being Mumu. Well, he wants that clean track. He would love it to get through, but he may have to back off a bit.
Yeah. He's kind of sandwiched between Alpine, Ferrari Nut, and then the McLaren, who's that behind him directly, that is unsighted.
That's going to be the biggest story, though, is how much can McLaren, especially this man, Port, gain on Red Bull this week. They are leading the Constructors' Championship by only 3 points going into Suzuka, and if they can have a strong race here and continue that momentum in the next couple of races, they could be on contention for that possible Constructors' Championship. They just need to hold it as they're doing. But Red Bull is charging. Well, unfortunately for them, their driver, who's leading the championship, is not here tonight.
Ferrari
Who's
Nut's
going to
gone
replace
off.
him? He has.
There's
And no
front
wing.
And he'll have to
That's
go.
going to hurt him.
Yep, he's past the pit lane. So he'll have to go all the way around. And then, more importantly, not impede anybody while doing that.
That's going to be a struggle for him. It's a long way from home, the Alpine, getting out of the way.
I don't know what
First one
happened.
across the line, though, will be Mumu. I believe he lost the car. The exit of 18, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
kind
obviously,
of
but-
similar when Robert Kubica lost it in 2019 in qualifying.
Possibly. 36.8, first sector for Mumu. 36. I actually didn't catch that time for inside report, unfortunately. We'll see who's the original pole sitter
37-1.
so far. There you go, 37-1. So he's a little bit off to the first sector. Who going to get second sector? Yellow flag through. That's Degna, too. I believe that's a Mercedes off. Believe that could be Boss Cookie.
I think that, or it's Alpha Knee, or I'm sorry, Ferrari Nut, making sure to get out of the way. I believe that's what it is. Oh no, you're right. I believe Boss Cookie does have an issue. He's in the gravel.
Out of the way. Now into the third sector. Mumu, he sets the line out 22.0. What is unsighted? Port set through the second sector at 22.2. Mumu's flying right now in the Red Bull, and he invalidates at the chicane. So all that worked for naught.
Now, does that give you this lap and next lap of validation? As actually, I got the Mercedes wrong. It's Deer Hunter that's having issues this lap.
So inside of Port, he goes for original pole. The next one across the line behind him might as well be his teammate. No, it's not. He's off at the chicane, going slowly, taking the endurance pit lane.
And I believe Boss Cookie pitted.
Luciano invalidated, so did Deer Hunter. Ferrari Nut has no front wing. Tweaking goes to provisional P2 behind the Alpha Tauri now, is going to lap. He's also invalidated. What has gone on? Ron Swanson goes provisional P3, 43.6. But so far, we've had a lot of commotion in the first runs for these drivers. Albanese is on wets.
Well, I mean, let's see if that decision is the better one. It is raining pretty hard. See what his first sector time is going to be. Unsighted set a 37.1. And I don't think, yeah, he's drastically off the pace. Oh, his fuel light's on as well, so that is... We'll have to come back.
I think, believe to see the drivers go into the pit lane and kind of re-rack and go again. Unsighted Port's a little bit off the pace. I am tweaking, I believe, has abandoned that lap he was on. Ron Swanson, I believe, has abandoned it as well. He may actually still be on a flying lap, not too sure. Still going pretty fast, so maybe he will.
I think he is pushing. Mumu sets now the benchmark at a 40.6.
Will that be pole? If it does rain harder, it's going to be harder and harder to get that time.
Run, heading up the long straight to 130R. And he is 2.5 seconds down, so he will not improve on his time.
Couple drivers out again, all on the wet compounded tire. Cookie, Taylor, Ferrari Nut as well. Alfanisa stays out on that wet. He's going to go for another flying lap, if not his first flying lap. This time by, he keeps it valid.
I think he's pitting because of his fuel light is on. I noticed that when I came to him the first time.
There's that.
So
next one across the line is, I believe, the Mercedes, that being not Deer Hunter, it being Boss Cookie, going through into Spoon. Down that long straight, he'll start his flying lap in a few seconds' time.
Interesting to see if maybe wets are the decision. They've not set a time, but if the wets are the ideal tire right now, they can probably get P5 and P6, maybe P4.
A little bit iffy through traction of turn 17 for Boss Cookie. Goes across the line to start his flying lap. Behind him, though, it's going to be a little bit. It's going to be, I believe, it's going to be Taylor Clan behind him, and the McLaren. Behind him, I believe, could be I Am Tweaking in the Red Bull. No, it's not. It was actually Moo behind him. He's going slowly and actually off the pace, getting out of the way of the Alpine. That being Ferrari Nut, going to start his flying lap in a few seconds' time as well.
See what Boss Cookie does in Sector 1. I don't think he's going to match what Port and Unsighted did. No, he's
actually may have.
He's about 4 seconds down. If I remember right, Unsighted said a 31.1 in Sector 1.
No, I believe he did a 37 mid. So
okay,
he could be on pace.
Maybe I'm wrong.
That was in the dry, I believe he said a 31. Or
maybe
26.
that's where I'm getting confused.
I don't know. We'll see by the time he crosses the line. We're not too, they need to have the purple sectors, by the way. That would be cool to have.
That would be lovely.
It'll make our job easier. Going out of Spoon. Down the main straightaway. That's going to be the best benchmark. Where is he going to be? He needs to be around the 19-20 range. Where is he going to be? Into the second sector. A 21.5, about a half a second down, if I do recall, on Moo. Can he get there to the final sector?
You mentioned purple. He did go pepper sector 2, but we'll see if that's just for him or for the session overall.
We'll see. Going down into turn 18. The Mercedes, he wants to get pole. He took some time to make sure he does. Can he get it? Yeah. No, 25 milliseconds. He's off a pole. That was close.
I guess you were right about the 31-second mark. I guess that was in the dry.
Taylor Clanny's teammate behind him. Can he go and match his teammate? Cookie was 25 milliseconds off of the McLaren. Can Taylor get through? Squirming his way through turn 18. He goes to fourth, a second off a pole. He goes behind his teammate, though. Behind him, that's going to be the Alpine of Ferrari Nut. He goes through into turn 18 now. Can he improve on his time? He hasn't set a time, so he's going to set a lap. What does he go? P7, 3.9 seconds off. The next one across, I believe, is going to be Unsighted Port. Starting a flying lap, yes he does, on the wets this time. Behind him, though, is going to be the Mercedes of Deer Hunter. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. Who grabs pole? Deer Hunter almost loses the car through 18, but he's going to set a time. He goes to 6th.
Moo, interesting enough, has wet selected, and he's got his teammate Tweaking in tow. Both are on an out lap. Interesting enough to see if Moo actually does improve on wets compared to his first lap being on inters.
He may. Maybe the lap wasn't up to par, maybe a little bit scruffy in some places, but right now, we all know it's going to heat up. Yellow flag in the second sector. Mercedes around at Spoon. I believe that may be Boss Cookie. Yes, it is Boss Cookie. He's going a little slowly. Not sure if he was around, but kind of going nonchalantly down the straightaway. He's going really slowly, actually.
Very slow.
Luciano's out. Into the hairpin. He's out of qualifying and thus will not take any further part and will start at a minimum of 9th. Or a maximum of 9th.
Yeah, so far Alfanese has not set a time. And Mumu's about to start his lap.
This may be it. Now or never. He's provisional pole right now. He's only ahead by 25 milliseconds. Well, both Red Bulls are going to take the track by storm. And by storm it has. It's raining pretty hard now. How can this affect their qualifying? Will it dampen their spirits? Will it allow them to still get pole? That's what they want. Red Bull, this is technically their home away from home Grand Prix because of the Honda power unit. But hey, according to Zach, it's just going to be business as usual. Will it be business as usual? Because as of late, it's been some pretty significant qualifying sessions for this Brackley-based team going into the first sector. Remember, a 36.9 is what Boskuki set. 37.4. He's 33 tenths down in the first sector. He may not be able to improve on this flying lap. Boskuki, he's going to make it to the line, so he will set a flying lap. The battle between these two are heating up. These two, remember, were fighting each other somewhat, but Boskuki was in the Ferrari back when Mumu was in the Red Bull. 3, 2, 1. Checkered flag is flown. Taylor Clan did not make it. He is now going to be at maximum in P4. Ron Swanson pits. He's going to be maximum P7 into Spoon for Mumu.
Well, you say maximum. If they crash out, Ron could get promoted.
True. Oh, no, actually, they keep their time, I think, now. Alphanesis goes to 9th. He will stay 9th. Where does Mumu go in the second sector?
He's not improving.
22.8. He is not improving. Is Boskuki improving through the first sector? Going through. He has no front wing. He is not going to improve. Unsided port. He's going through into the final corner. Or, I'm sorry, into Spoon in a couple seconds' time. Is he up and down on his time? We'll have to find out. But Taylor Clan's not going to go. Oh! And that his qualifying done. Same with I Am Tweaking. Can Deer Hunter do anything?
Deer Hunter.
No, he has no front wing. That may be it.
That's it.
What has happened to the two Mercedes? Where did their front wings go? But Mumu, in a race for Red Bull, and they're home away from home. Mumu grabs the pole position for the Japanese Grand Prix in a storm-riddled qualifying.
Well, unlike the last two races, Mercedes will get both cars into Q3, where they've gotten into Q3. And we've seen the charge that they've had, Monza, and I believe it was Russia, where Boss started basically shotgun on the field and was basically in the points in 2 laps, so they don't have to do that again.
Inside port, I believe, missed the pit lane.
I believe.
Across the line, spinning across the line to be more specific.
And that should do it.
Do it will. Qualifying is done for Japan and here in Suzuka. And it was a race that Red Bull said it's business as usual. Well, no doubt about it. Mumu grabs pole position once again for the Japanese Grand Prix. It's kind of a little bit of a gap from the last time he was up in the Red Bull on provisional pole. This time it's the actual pole. It's been a decent amount of time. Boskuki to second, ahead of 2 McLarens of Insider Port and Taylor Clan in 3rd and 4th. Tweaking to 5th. Deer Hunter, he will start on the medium compounded tire. Everyone else on the softs. Ron Swanson to 7th. Ferrari the Alpine 8th. Alphanesis 9th. And Luciano rounds out the top 10 for your top 10 shootout and the classification for qualifying 3 of the Japanese Grand Prix. We can't wait for the race.
Be interesting to see if our weather report, 1, is true, and 2, when the rain shows up for the race. Makes me wonder what people are going to do 11th on back on tires.
The sun is out, and it's ready to go. For Japan, who gets what? Remember, the top 10 have to start on the qualifying tire. They made it through into qualifying 2. They may have had a damp and stormy track, but they did it on the slick compounded tire, so they have to start on the tire. 9 drivers in the top 10 have to start on the softs. Deer Hunter, the only one on the mediums. So far, everyone outside the top 10 have a free choice of tire, but only one has chosen the medium. The other one, Chile, has chosen the hard compounded tire, and Tron has gone medium as well.
Interesting. And I expect, unless you have a lap 1 or 2 issue, no one's going to go to hards in this race.
Well, actually,
Hit that back. I see
maybe.
Chile does.
If you start on the hards, keep yourself out of trouble, and make it to that intermediate period, I think they can last.
I believe you.
Now,
Yeah.
how much on the pace? Not sure.
Yeah, that's going to be the question mark. Pace-wise. And we have Feta and Rath now, so we will have 20 cars for this race.
Yes, we will. So it's going to be a full grid for the Japanese Grand Prix. Everyone's tire selections are locked in. Toneless Death, Etronda, Supply Raptor, KP21, and Wraith all have chosen the mediums. Everyone else has chosen soft except for Chile and the Aston Martin down in 18th. The formation lap is a go. So, last time we were here, and realistic for Suzuka, a Red Bull won it. That being Taylor Clan. He starts from 4th here today, though, in the Red Bull. And that same race, 3 out of the 14 finishers had penalties. 22% of the drivers. That may not be as big of a talking point as it has in the recent amount of races. Penalties may not be as much as a factor. Well, that is one thing that is going to be less of a factor. But one thing that will be more of a factor may be the safety cars. 5 of the last 12 races have had at least one safety car at Suzuka. Will we have one here tonight? We'll have to find out. But more crucially, especially for this man on pole, Mumu, 12 out of the last 25, or 48% of drivers, have won from pole. So, right now, he has the best track, the clean track in front of him. He just needs to hold off Boss Cookie and the Mercedes-powered McLarens of Inside Port and Taylor Clan behind him down in the turn 1. Can he get there? We'll have to find out. Mumu could be controlling this race. He's on the soft compounded tire. Same with everyone in the top 10 except for Deer Hunter. Luciano is around. He's going to be the last one on, I guess, used tires. Toneless Death on the medium. Meanfern and DXC Ishigo both on the softs. DXC Ishigo is actually off the track at the chicane. Ethanol Nut in 14th on the medium. Same with Supply Raptor and KP21 and BRL Wraith. Outside the top 10, Bailey is on the soft. Same with Feta Cheese and the Alfa Romeo. And Chile is on the hards. It's going to be a fun Japanese Grand Prix. 27 laps, 18 corners, 20 drivers. It's time. Who gets first?
What, down to run downhill or first overall? That could be, those are 2 question marks. We've had 4 disqualified, so they will be on cold tires for the start. That being Alfanese, Luciano in P9 and 10, Supply in P15, and KP21 in 17th.
And actually, with this first sector being so downforce dependent and grip dependent, this may not only hurt them off the line, but at least for the first sector and a half, they could be in some trouble here.
Well, not only for them, but they could be a bottleneck for the field going from behind them.
Yes, it definitely could happen. Let's see who gets where. Who makes it down to turn 1 first? Who makes it alive and wins the Japanese Grand Prix? That'll be the bigger question. Rain's on the way. The drivers are ready to get it underway. One of these times. Any day now.
Yeah, any day. They had a long wait last week, if I'm not mistaken, a very long wait when we had 5 red lights.
Here we go. The drivers are ready to go, and this time it's time for us to be ready as well. And it's lights out and away we go, and a really good start by the Mercedes of Boss Cookie. He's already alongside the Red Bull down to the turn 1. He's going to have the apex. He's going to have the lead. Around the outside is going to be tweaking the Red Bull down later back. But it's going to be Boss Cookie ahead of Mumu, ahead of Port, ahead of Taylor Clan. Stays ahead of tweaking. Deer Hunter side by side
Luciano's
with Ferrari
off.
around. Luciano's around. Deer Hunter stays ahead of Ferrari and Albanese, Swanson, Meanfern throughout the top 10. DXC lets off, and that's going to be the top 10. Really not as chaotic. Around the outside, going down in a Dunlop now, is going to be Bailey on the Alpine of Toneless Death. He's now going to be under pressure from Etronha. They're side by side going down to the Diagonal 1. Etronha's up in position, and look at that. Toneless down now a couple.
Meanwhile, in the back, Luciano has spun. KP21 has spun as well. Trying to order it up.
Chile made a move. Got past Raptor to 15th. Actually, Wraith gets past Chile now for 16th. But up front, though, yellow flag once again. I believe that's through the hairpin. Around one of the Haas's, that being Burrow Wraith, maybe.
Yes.
I believe so. Cookie ahead of Mumu, 7/10 the gap. Port ahead of Taylor Clan, tweaking in 5th. Deer Hunter, the top 6 are the top 3 teams in the constructors. Ferrari Nut is in 7th, best of the rest right now, with Alphanesis, Ron Swanson, and Mean Fern rounding out your top 10. It's been a kind of chaotic start, but not as dramatic.
Yeah, not as chaotic as all. Now we'll see the race up front. See if Ferrari Nut can stay attached to these fastest 6. Mercedes could be sitting the capper. They have the split strategy at the moment.
Well, this man right now, Mumu, is pressurizing the back of Boss Cookie. He's going in a little bit by 4/10 or so on the last couple of corners to be exact, but now through the first sector, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to follow. Bailey past DXC should go. Battle for 11th. The Haas now up almost into the points. Luciano, 5-second time 30 for speeding in the pit lane. Is that the Aston Martin's day already done? Looks like it's not. He's going to have a front wing change on the medium compounded tire. He will go, and he'll re-rack and go back out there, hopefully to the intermediate period.
Yeah, he'll need some luck to intervene now, either with the rain or with the safety car.
DRS will be enabled next time by, but it will not be able to be used until lap 4 because of the 1 DRS straight here in Suzuka. So if Boss Cookie can stay ahead of Mumu, that is going to be crucial for his race. As you see, Etanona down a couple positions. DXT Ishigo fighting hard with the driver, I believe that being Toneless Death a couple seconds ago. Etanona now being fighting with Toneless Death. Side by side they go, and Etanona's passed the Alpine and the Spoon.
Yep, so far the biggest loser is Luciano, who is in 20th, started 10th. And the biggest improver of this race is Bailey, who is in 11th after starting in 16th.
Still plenty of time left to go. There's the pit stop strategy once again, but it could still have that rain affected stint. We'll have to find out how early that will go. Cookie sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Mumu's not too far behind him. The gap actually increased a bit from the last time we were there. DRS is enabled once again, but we need to be within a second of the car in front for that to be activated. It will be activated next time. By is the first time you can use it. Fenna pits from 17th off the softs.
Yeah, I saw where he, I guess, got lagged out. Glad he's back in.
Front wing change for the Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, right now the front 5, they're kind of, well, Port's close to falling out of DRS range over Mumu. So he's going to have to push. Stay within that 1 second.
Significantly, though. He's actually got there. Port's got back within that 1 second gap.
It's close. It's been fluctuating.
It's close. As it stands right now, he would not have it. Scratch that. Now he would have it. He wants to stay in and grab that extra slipstream and that top speed down the straightaway because of that DRS. Top speed around 315 kilometers per hour down the main straight here in Suzuka, the only DRS zone. That's why it's so crucial to keep the DRS. Everyone in the top 6 has. Ferrari Nut's the first one in the top 7 who is out of the DRS range. Mumu is going to be in the DRS, and so is Port, crucially.
Yep, Port's made it up enough time. Looks like Ferrari will be the first one to fall out of range out of the top 6.
The gap now tweaking, maybe looking for a run. And we got a little bit of a poor traction to the exit of 18. He may not be looking for it, but Mumu could be looking for this move on the Mercedes of Boss Cookie. He's just too far back this time, by into turn 1. He stays behind for now. Battle for 9th is heating up, though. Mean Fern, Ron Swanson. Ron gives it to him. Fern up to 9th.
So both AlphaTauris now in the points.
Oh, what has happened? Boss Cookie's around. He's around off the track and now out of the top 10.
What happened there? Last time we saw Mumu pressurizing him.
He's in the top 10 briefly, but he has DXC Ishigo behind him. Down in the Degna 1, are they going to make contact? Almost contact between the Alfa Romeo and the Mercedes. But Mercedes and Boss Cookie are going to hold on for now. But what happened?
Well, if he didn't have contact from Mumu, we've talked about these curbs, especially on the run-up of the S's. They are pretty much the curbs of death. Don't touch them.
Yellow flag once again, I believe that being feta cheese, but look at this. Deer Hunter's really closing in on the back of IM tweaking. He's now the lead Mercedes with the spin from Boss Cookie. He's down in 10th. Deer's up to 5th, but remember, with these medium compounded tires, if he can make them last to that intermediate period, he is in going to be he's actually in the catbird seat.
I wonder if Boss Cookie has damage. He has a train of cars behind him, all the way to P15.
He could have damage, indeed, in the Mercedes. Alphanesis gets past Ferrari Nut. And now the Alpine splits both Alpha Tauris. He's in 7th. Alphanesis to 6th.
And speaking of deer, yeah, you wonder not only the intermediate time, but when will the crossover, these softs, start to benefit the medium runners?
You never know, especially with these dirty air trains. The softs are going to wear a little bit more than you would usually, think, especially if you're in clean air. So that's going to be really hurting the back of Bailey, Etronha, and everyone in this train behind, especially for those mediums. Yellow flag. That I believe is Chile. No, actually it was, I think, Luciano.
I believe it was Luciano. Not having the start he would like.
Crucially, for Mumu, he's out of the DRS range from unsighted port, and Taylor's almost out of the DRS range from port as well, so that could put him under pressure from I Am Tweaking. Yellow flag once again. That means moving the Mercedes around again. What has happened? This is now the second spin in just about as many laps from Boss Cookie. He went from leading to 15th. What has gone on?
It's just unraveled. One side of the Brackley garage pressing on in P5, and the other side, I mean, the last 2 laps have been interesting. Interesting to know what happened with Boss Cookie.
Bryant got past Alphanesis once again, and Toronha got past DXT Ishigo. Into the points he goes. Yellow flag through, I believe that's KP21 around at the chicane. It's all kicking off.
Meanwhile, Ferrari Nut got ahead of Alphanese.
This is going to be crucial for Deer Hunter to get past Tweaking as quick as possible. Right now, though, is a straight-up fight between McLaren and Red Bull. Almost into the back of the Red Bull. Deer Hunter goes into the chicane, or the hairpin, sorry. But he gains a bit of time on Tweaking. He could be in the perfect position to look for a move down in the turn 1, but Tweaking has the DRS of Taylor, who has the DRS of Port, who's almost 2 seconds behind Mumu. What has happened? Port's made a mistake.
He's had to make mistakes somewhere.
I think KP21 is around. Virtual safety car.
Well, we'll see if anyone takes advantage of this. Any of the soft runners, if they decide to pit and get off these.
Mumu does. Port stays out. Mumu may try to stretch it onto the medium tires. Yes, he does.
So far, Mumu and Ferrari Nut. Now here comes Alphanese. Unfortunately, that means Mean Fern would have to stay out.
Onto the hards for Ferrari Nut.
Interesting.
Interesting indeed. Now that puts both Ferraris up into the points. DXT Ishigo to 8th, Toneless Death to 9th. Mumu's going to circle out in 10th, so he's going to stay in the points. Just barely ahead of Bailey in the Haas, and behind him Supply Raptor. If you don't remember, those two had some coming togethers in the, qualifying 1 session, or qualifying 2 session. They've hit each other again. So Raptor in the back of Bailey, and now Bailey has a 5-second time penalty collision with Mumu. And Mumu has a 5-second, he has a drive-through under safety car. That's even worse.
That's,
Toneless Death past DXT Ishigo, and DRS enabled again.
It's just leading this race is the kiss of death right now.
That's not good news for Unsighted Port.
No, it's not.
But right now, he has to do everything he has to keep his teammate behind. McLaren, as it stands, would gain some substantial amount of ground on Red Bull and on Minico, with Unsighted Port being 25 points to his name. The gap will be down to 10. But will it stay there? There's still 21 laps to go, and there's still a rain period possibly coming. How will that play out? There's still a long way to go in this Japanese Grand Prix.
I would say these front three. Oh wow,
no!
Taylor is off.
Taylor saves it. That was almost going to be his race done right there. He's not going to be under pressure from Deer Hunter. Down in the turn one, Taylor's going to have the DRS that he had from Port. That'll keep him ahead of the Mercedes. Well, you said the Kiss of Death was first. I think the Kiss of Death's the top three.
Well, speaking of the top three, look who's quietly gotten into P2.
I Am Tweaking has done an incredible job. And Mumu's in the pits again.
Unfortunately for Mumu, who has served his drive-through, but he will still have that 5 seconds. Or no, that was Bailey that got the 5 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe both of them did. Don't remember.
I'm surprised Supply Raptor did not grab one. He hit the back of Bailey as well. He may have actually had some wing damage possibly on top of that as well, Bailey. So keep in mind in that pit lane. But Tweaking's closing in on Unsighted Port, and that would be an incredible move for Tweaking if he could keep Unsighted Port at bay.
Right now with Deer Hunter.
Tweaking gets past him. That'll help Minico in the championship.
It will. Deer Hunter is slowly closed in. These guys have a 9-second gap back to Meanford in P5.
Tweaking may be close enough, but keep in mind, the Mercedes engine down the straightaway could be well enough to keep the McLaren ahead of Tweaking down in the turn one. There's only one DRS straight, so he has to be substantially faster and have a great exit. He didn't get a great exit this time. He may not be able to make it. He's going to be in the slipstream, the DRS. He's not using the overtake button. He's closing in on the McLaren. It's just not close enough down in the turn one.
He took a look.
Port holds on once again.
Well,
Mumu past Wraith.
yeah, Mumu does not have a 5-second penalty, so he'll be back on the charge. And he'll be certainly wanting a safety car or Mother Nature intervene to help him.
Bailey gets past Supply, side by side with Supply Raptor, actually. They both get past DXD Ishigo. Bailey gets past Raptor going into turn 3, and they both get past DXD Ishigo into turn 1.
Be interested to see Frynut's pace on hards and Alpha Nice, of how quickly these two can get back through the field after pitting.
It'll be crucial for them because they can make it to the end, at least to that intermediate period.
And these three did have a nice little gap over Deer Hunter at the end of the VSC. Now he's caught them back up. And these three had, four I should say, have just completely left the rest of the field.
They have, and they're closing up, I believe, on KP21 in a few seconds' time for blue flags. But this is probably the best chance Tweaking is going to have. He's close enough. Port gets a good drive off, but he's going to be on the button. He's going to have the DRS. He's going to have the slipstream. Taylor Clan pits. He's going to split the strategy for McLaren. He's going to be in the DRS once again. Port uses the battery down the straightaway. Not close enough again for the Red Bull of I Am Tweaking.
See, Taylor goes to the medium compound. See if both of these cars ahead of Deer were on softs if they decide to pit at the end of lap 10. So we have a car around that is, who is that? Bailey pits.
Raptor with the 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings and track extensions. I believe it was a Haas around. It could have been Wraith, not necessarily sure.
I think it was actually Wraith because Bailey was in the pit lane.
That would do it. Deer Hunter closing in on Tweaking. He did not have a good run in the exit of the hairpin. Yellow flag through Dunlop. No one is, actually there is a yellow flag through into the chicane though, that being, I believe, Luciano. Look at Deer, he got a pretty good run on Tweaking, but Tweaking once again uses the battery to try to stay in front of Deer Hunter and stay even closer to unsighted Port. If he can get close to him, down in the turn 1, and make that move, he could dictate his own pace. Right now it's at the Port's pace.
That's unless these two pit in front of Deer. And they both do.
So Deer has been released. He now has the blue flag of KP21 in front of him. Both will have DRS. And Cookie's been given a 3-second penalty. He's just gone from bad to worse for the other Mercedes. Yellow flag through Spoon. I believe that is actually Cookie around again.
I think you're right.
So now Etrona up to second. Toneless up to third. Taylor Clan actually came out right there. He jumped port. Yellow flag through into the chicane. Not exactly sure what that's about. But Taylor Clan jumped his teammate. That's crucial in that battle. But will they play team orders? Will they let him through?
Well,
right now they have to get dispose of Toneless Death right now.
Exactly. And right now, if you're Deer Hunter, you're liking this. So all that's going to do is hold him up even more.
And Tweaking is not too far behind.
No. And Ferrari is not too far behind of them on the hards, only 3 seconds a trip.
Taylor almost contact, locks up into the hairpin, loses a little bit of traction. Here comes unsighted port. They're not going to be close enough and go wheel to wheel down in the spoon, but he thought about it.
For all intents and purposes, Mumu did get the VSC. He's still in 10th, so it's still not over. His KP21 is retired. Is that on track? That's a safety car.
And that is going to hurt Deer Hunter, Etrona, and Toneless Death.
Well, if you're them, what do you do?
Well, that's an extra 3 laps under the safety car that I think they could possibly stretch out. How close is the weather?
That's the question mark. Deer stays
the
out.
pitch goes Toneless Death and Etrona, so that's going to be, I believe, soft compound attire for both of those drivers.
It's either going to be softs or hards. We'll see what they do. Ed goes to another set of mediums.
Toneless goes to softs, so Ed thinks that there will definitely be a switch over to intermediate tires in which he does not have to satisfy the 2/3 tire rule, in which you have to use 2 of the 3 compounds available. Toneless Death, he goes on to the C3, sorry. The soft compound attire, so he will satisfy that rule. But Etrona, if it stays dry, will have to pit once more.
Well, he's certainly gambling.
For that to work, he has it to change fully to intermediate tires. Yeah, I don't know if it will right now. It's still really dry.
And we're approaching almost the halfway point of this race, lap 12 of 27.
This actually helps Mumu a quite significant amount. He's now up to 6th, and with that safety car bunching him back up again, he has a chance to go take the fight to Ferrari Nut and possibly even a Tweaking and the 2 McLarens and Deer Hunter, but that's if Deer Hunter stays out, which I don't even know if he will.
Well, if he was going to pit, he should have done the lap prior. If he pits now, he's going to lose a lot of positions.
We'll see what the Mercedes does as he closes up to the pit lane in a few seconds' time. If he does pit, the strategy is all for naught.
Well, you're kind of in a particular spot there. Pitting there, I don't know. Toneless Death's going to gamble, hoping softs will make it to the end.
So Deer pits. That relinquishes Taylor now to the lead. Remember, Taylor won the Italian Grand Prix.
They'll go to softs.
So, yeah, he will. Same with Toneless Death, but Toneless is actually going to jump Deer Hunter. Deer may not even get in the top 10. Because there's the Ishiko.
Yeah, and then here comes...
Right outside.
There comes... Yep. And then
wow.
Yeah.
13th. Mercedes now both out of the points once again. It's going to be difficult for them to fight that back.
Well, they're going to have to pull something out of this with Deer now 13th, and you have Boss Cookie in 16th. They've done a lot of good work the last 2 to 3 races to close the gap to the rivals in front. Right now in McLaren, they're kind of sitting in the catbird seat. 1-2, and Side of Port second. Helps him in his championship. But I mean, yeah, you got Red Bull P3 and P5 too, so.
And you also said that it always seems to favor that Alpine earlier on in qualifying conditions and that ensuing race. Well, now he's at the 4th, so Ferrari Nut's doing a really good job in that Alpine once more. Remember that Alpine has won 3 races so far this season. Actually, the third most by any constructor, I believe. McLaren also have, what? Actually, I believe they're tied with 3, and Red Bull and Mercedes have won the rest.
And speaking of Alpine, his teammates in P8, so good result for them so far. You know, right now they sit back 66 points of AlphaTauri for P4 in the championship. It's certainly doable, even though I think Alpine's main concern is to get away from Ferrari.
Right now, speaking of getting away from Ferrari, that's what Tweaking is hoping to do with that 1 lap old medium compounded tire compared to Ferrari Nut's 5 lap old hards. But for Mumu's sake, he wants to get quickly past Ferrari Nut to his teammate Tweaking, so they can take the fight to McLaren, because once again, as it stands, McLaren will gain a significant amount of points, that being what? 44? No.
45,
43.
I believe. 43?
43 points to McLaren, and Red Bull currently have 25.
And I believe,
So 18.
plus the fastest lap, which at the moment, that would be... let's see.
I think it's Mumu, so it'd be
It is
17
Mumu.
points. So it'd be 17 points McLaren would gain on Red Bull, pushing that gap to 20 going in to Coda a week from now.
Yep, and looks like the safety car will come in on this lap. What the safety car does bring in is more of a window open now for the weather to hit, as we have pretty much hit halfway in this race. Coming to complete 14.
Now, everyone can basically make it to the end from here out. I mean, maybe touch and go with the softs, but
except
everyone
one.
else theoretically can.
The only one that can is Ed Tronha. He went from medium, if I'm not mistaken.
True. He's the only one that cannot make it to the end. So if it were to stay dry, this is probably going to be an all-shoot strike to the finish. But Deer Hunter and Toneless Death are going to have some work to do, trying to caressing those soft compounded tires to the end of the race. But everyone else is going to have an easier time, theoretically, to the end.
Looking at the conditions, it's still as bright as it is now as it was during the start.
And it's not very cloudy out as well.
No,
so
it's not.
clouds either need to come here. Actually, look at that. It's completely clear. So safety car will come in this lap on side port, and his teammate Taylor will lead the way. Taylor's going to have full discretion of when to go between now and the start-finish line, but he has to make sure that safety car goes into the pit lane and away from harm's way. When does he go? No DRS is going to be enabled for about 3 laps. Actually, technically 4, because there's only 1 DRS straight. Taylor goes, Port follows, and we go again.
And so far, it's a clean start. And back to the program.
Deer Hunter looking for a move on Bailey, though. He does get past the Haas down in the turn 1. That's 1 move done. He's going to look for Raptor. He gets past Raptor. That's 2 and a quarter and a half.
He'll certainly be on the charge.
Oh, that's now 3. Dixisio was really wide at the exit of turn 5. And now Deer Hunter's up into the points. So now, with these drivers going through, now it's pretty much just riding it out for the most part. Giving the message you possibly can. Deer Hunter closing in on Alphanesis. Mumu getting past Ferrari Nut. And Chili and Cookie battling in the lower half.
Yeah, we're seeing the front 3. They're starting to pull away. Mumu gets around Ferrari Nut.
Ron gets past Chili, battle for 15th. Now Chili's fighting back at the Ferrari.
Let's see if there's any sort of team orders here at McLaren. You would think if they were to sway one driver, it would be Port because of his championship, but I think Tweaking's too close right now for them to do a swap.
Deer down the inside of Alphanesis. He looked for it. Alphanesis in 130 yards. Deer's going to get Alphanesis a little bit too late. Yellow flag. Luciano is around at the exit and entrance of chicane, rather. So now Deer Hunter's up to 9th. He's closing in the Toneless Death to 8th. He's moving on. rapidly.
He's not messing around. You just wonder if how long his softs, if he can make them last to the end.
The way he's driving, he may not have
Oh.
to. Toneless Death goes really wide, and the exit into Dunlop now. Yellow flags fly. Boss Cookie's around again. Deer Hunter's up to 8th.
He is just simply on the charge.
He's not too far away from that tunnel hunt. Down the inside, look at the move from the Mercedes. He's wanting to send it, and he did send it. Deer up to 7th. Wow.
Yeah. One wonders where he would be if he pitted the lap prior, but I think he's making amends of that. And next we'll have Mean Fern, he's already closed. Wow.
He is on the charge, and it's not even close.
And he's not having the benefit of DRS in the first straight.
So he's going to have to make that move at the best he possibly can. About 2 laps, fresher tires, and 1 compound softer going down. Now DRS is enabled. It will be able to be used a lap from now. Deer Hunter sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. That takes it away from Moo. That helps McLaren. Port's closing into Taylor Clan, but Deer's too far back on the first straight.
Meanwhile, up front, you still have the top 3. They're pretty much right there, and then Mumu's slowly closing in on these guys. We're about to have a 4-car train right here in the lead.
Oh, look at the move. Deer Hunter around the outside. That is an incredible move on Mean Fern. He gets the move into Dunlop. Wow. Up to 6th.
He's not too far out of the lead.
It's an incredible move, an incredible overtake from Deer Hunter on Mean Fern. Sure, the car may be a little bit quicker, but the grip and the confidence that Deer had in that car to make that move was unrivaled.
Meanwhile, Mumu has now caught his teammate tweaking.
He's only 5 seconds off the lead.
Oh, yeah, he is flying.
Inside of Port and Taylor Clan, do they make the swap this time by? They have a little bit of a buffer, not anymore. Tweaking late on the breaks through into the chicane.
I think Port wants to go because he's got not just 1 Red Bull, he's got 2 Red Bulls behind him. They do the swap.
Will Taylor stay in front? If he does, that's crucial. They do stay in front. So they swap positions at McLaren. Port is released. Deer Hunter gets past Ferrari Nut.
He's only 3 seconds away from this battle.
That is an incredible pace so far from Deer Hunter in the Mercedes. Now, can he keep those tires alive?
Either way, it's still a great recovery. And we'll see what happens. We'll see if Port can now build a gap over his teammate.
Tweaking wants to go almost in the back of Taylor for the second Degna. Cookie past Feta for 14th. Oh no! Move around into the wall. Contact with the front and the rear wing.
Slides back on the track. That's just unfortunate for Mumu. Made a brilliant recovery after his VSC.
That race from him is once again up and down. It's not going his way here again tonight.
You don't know what's going to happen the rest of these 11 laps. First off, can Deere catch these guys and then pass them with the pace that he has shown with these soft tires? But does Tweaking have anything for these McLarens? He has basically sat right behind the gearbox pretty much the whole race.
He just hasn't been able to overtake him on the straight. The one place that the Red Bull just cannot seem to be quicker than the McLaren is on that main straight, and it's the only chance of an overtake. And Mumu does pit.
Tweaking is all over Taylor.
Yes, he is once again going through, almost looking for the move into Dunlop, just not enough space. That's something I also do want to touch on. I'm surprised visually Mumu did not lose any damage. We may have some rear wing and front wing damage. Obviously, he did have it because he changed that front wing. Taylor locks up down into the hairpin, and Tweaking almost loses the car, losing a little bit of traction through. Now he loses a little bit of time to Taylor.
And Deere closed in about 7/10 that lap.
Cookie past Ron, running wide, Tweaking through Spoon. Raptor and Cookie looking for the move. Or on the outside, he'll go down the inside of Spoon, and Raptor lets him have it. Cookie up to end of the points now, but Raptor's under pressure from Ron Swanson in the Ferrari. Can he try to get himself into the latter stages to try to look for some points in the Ferrari?
Steve Tweaking. Tweaking's a lot closer now to Taylor. Taylor goes a bit defensive. Now he goes back to the racing line. They just don't have the straight line speed like you mentioned.
Ron Swanson had 2 cars into 1. He overtook DXD Ishigo and Supply Raptor down into the chicane.
Up to the points does Ron go.
Yellow flag.
I think that's just, that yellow flag has been kind of intermittent going off and on with no one there, so I don't think Mumu had another issue.
I believe you are correct with that. Mercedes definitely have rebounded since the safety car, though. They were down 13th and 15th. Now they're up to 4th and 9th.
And one thing I have noticed, it's not as clear as it was earlier, and I think the wind's picked up.
Well, they have about roughly 8 or so, less than 8, about 7 and about a sector left to go of this Grand Prix. So will it be here in time? If it does come, it's a little bit too little too late. And Deere has caught these guys.
He has. We'll see if his soft tires have anything left.
He'll have about 14 or so laps on his tires, maybe even 15. It may be close. It may be just too much of a stretch.
Well, we'll see. He lost a little bit of time there. He was within a second of Tweaking. Now he's dipped up to a half a second. Hey, Ferrari Nut's done a good job with his hards to maintain P5.
He has. He's consistently ran best of the rest here tonight. And right now, he's doing a remarkable job up in 5th. His teammate, Toneless Death, is to 8th. So both Alpines doing an incredible job so far. Not too many laps to go. Vettel gets past Wraith, battle for 16th. The Alfa Romeo ahead of the Haas.
Well, this kind of sort of chaos. I missed whatever happened to Alfa Nice, who's sitting P19 now.
I believe it may be a timing glitch again.
Oh, let's see if you. I think you might be right because shows him 2 laps down. He had an issue last race around, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I put him around there, although he finished on the podium. I believe he's actually behind. Yellow flag. That is a phantom yellow flag.
I think he's behind his
first
teammate.
Sector.
He's
I
behind
believe you are right.
So if that
Actually, I believe he's ahead of his teammate. He is. He's pressurizing Ferrari Nut, I believe, for 5th. Yeah, there he is. Tweaking once again. He's close once again, but can he get there? Taylor to the right-hand side to break the slipstream. It's not close enough.
If you're tweaking,
Not
you're
enough straight.
if you're tweaking, you're hoping. I'm sure that the McLaren guys are probably working the strategy of instead of leaving, but leaving Taylor in his DRS.
That is true. Remember what McLaren did with Lando Norris in Austria a couple of years ago. Drive fast, but stay within his DRS. Or drive slow, but stay within his DRS. Raptor and DXD Ishigo battling for 11th. That was close, almost contact to the exit of turn 2. And the Alfa Romeo gets ahead of the Williams for 12th. Or for 11th, technically.
And Deere is here now. He's been kind of here, but he's not
is.
been this close now.
Cookie ahead of Toneless Death, battle for 8th. The Mercedes is charging on. He needs to get past Ed Tronha, Meanfern, and Alphanesis, because Alphanesis is in 6th. Repeat, he's ahead of his teammate. Meanfern is in 7th, and you can pretty much do the math from rest on. But Taylor Clan still leads. He leads Tweaking about 2.5 tenths or so. Yellow flying in the first sector once more, but Tweaking's closing in. This is the closest he's been. He's side by side down in the chicane. Taylor breaks late, squeezes the Red Bull out, and stays ahead, going through into 16 into 17, and that's going to hurt Tweaking because here comes Deer Hunter. He needs to make this move. Tweaking to get past Taylor Clan as fast as he can. Deer Hunter just can't get close enough to Tweaking. He doesn't have enough battery. So Tweaking stays ahead of Deer Hunter, but Taylor crucially stays ahead of Tweaking.
Yeah, fortunately with Deer's charge, he's used up a lot of the battery, but he is still within this pack.
It's unfortunate now for Deer Hunter, because now with that battery deployment, he may be running a little bit higher wings as well than the Red Bull of Tweaking. But the straights is pretty much going to cause him trouble as much as Tweaking is having trouble with the McLaren of Taylor.
Well, he might have to do what he did earlier on this stint and just send it.
And he will try to send it down the inside, side by side, almost contact. They're still wheel to wheel, and that's going to be Deer Hunter marginally ahead of Tweaking. They're still side by side, a little bit of contact. Wheel banging once more. They touch again, still wheel to wheel, going into Spoon. Tweaking on the right-hand side.
Someone's
Deer's going to look down the inside of Spoon. They're still side by side. They're still wheel to wheel. Almost contact, now there is contact again, and Deer Hunter gets ahead of Tweaking, and that is crucial for Mercedes and for Red Bull as well, because McLaren does now have a buffer.
Well, they have a buffer, but not really. Now we'll see if Deer can charge on these guys.
Here he goes again. Side by side into the chicane. Wheel to wheel. They still stay side by side. A little bit of contact. Deer almost loses the car. Oh no! They save it. Still contact between the two. They're still wheel to wheel. They both have DRS. It's going to be a drag race down the straightaway. Who has the straight line speed? They're still wheel to wheel. The Honda versus Mercedes side by side for half a lap. Tweaking goes off and gets a time penalty, and now is behind Deer Hunter, and McLaren have a 3-second lead.
Wow. And it's raining. It is raining in Sector 1.
Will it rain enough to warrant them to have to go to intermediate tires?
Well, we saw in Q2 when it started to rain, people were able to still do laps on their slick tires. As who's that that's gone off? I believe that's one of the Alfa Romeos. That's DXT.
He's gone around, and I believe his teammate has followed suit. Vettel's down a couple of positions as well. He's down to 18th.
Well, this kind of changes things.
It does, and look at this. Cookie is making a move on Meanfern. He got past Ed Tronha. So Meanfern has the Mercedes to be pressurized by. This is the battle for 7th. Cookie is in 8th because ahead of him we have a timing glitch for Alphanesis. He is behind Ferrari Nut. You see him going up the road. Actually, he's ahead of Ferrari Nut.
Watching these leaders that come through, I don't think any of these would pit. It's not raining hard enough, but the rain is definitely picking up.
Will it be enough, though, for them to have to go into the pit lane? Meanfern stays ahead of Cookie into the chicane, but how much longer? Cookie will have the DRS down the main straightaway, down in the turn 1. He doesn't have the traction, but he's going to have and be saved up with that slipstream and that ERS, and that, crucially, that DRS.
Still says
it's raining hard now.
Yeah, it's coming down.
It may be the opposite of Russia. Or it could be exactly Russia.
Either way, we'll see. Here just gained a half a second in that sector alone.
Cookie's around again. And into the gravel. It's a Dunlop. That's going to now him be overtaken and out of the points. Because obviously Alphanesis is ahead of Ferrari Nut in 5th. Ron Swanson would therefore be 10th.
I tell you what, if you want to be on the right compound for a track conditions like this, softs would be ideal.
That is true. Look at the track now. That is really wet. We could honestly see some drivers try to bite the bullet and stay out, but is it worth it?
I think if you're up front, you have no choice but to bite the bullet. But if you're...
We'll see. McLaren needs all the points they get. And right now they would gain a significant amount of points on Red Bull. So they have only one more lap to go after this one. We're on the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. Deer Hunter's closing suit. Tweaking's about a second and a half off of Deer Hunter.
Surprise, no one has decided to pit yet. Oh, we get one taker.
Pits.
Well, he had no choice but to pit.
And he sped into the pit lane because the tires don't have enough grip to slow down. It's going to be who can survive for the next 20 to 30 more corners.
Yeah, that sent a bunch of people in. Now we have 5 in the pits.
Luciano, Raptor, Mumu, Bailey, Cookie, Ishigo all in the pit lane. Cookie grabs a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Wraith stays out. Chili stays out. They now will move up into the top 10, I think. No, they'll get behind Ed Tronha. Deer Hunter's closed in massively.
Yeah, look at the track. It is getting very, very tricky now.
But they don't have a choice.
I mean, you're right. We'll see if Ed can make any ground on this. He will be the first one on. Enters. Sitting Pete.
2 seconds. Or Kutoon, sorry. Oh, he's gaining now. DRS is disabled, so it's going to be now 1 lap for unsighted port and everyone in the top 10 who is not on the intermediate tire. Can they hold on?
Yeah, they both stay out. Deer stays out. You can keep it on the island.
Nothing. The final lap of the Grand Prix at Suzuka. Dry tires, wet track, 18 corners to go.
And Ed Tronha is eating into Ron's gap. I don't know if he'll be able to get there, but it just shows how much the Inter tire is the preferred tire right now. I mean, these guys have their hands. Look how slow they're going.
They are going almost at a crawling speed. But to stay on the track, I don't think they care. Every driver's on the same boat, and Ed Tronha is only 43 seconds away from the lead. That's too far back for them to even threat outside of port.
No,
they just need to stay on the track.
Do these guys make it back here?
Go. Mumu past Wraith. He could have a chance
Deer's
of points.
trying to get the traction. He's trying. I thought he was going to be able to get alongside there.
Only a couple more corners to go. But remember, 130R is in this mix as well. It's not over yet. Going into this race, Port was 35 points behind. McLaren were 3 points ahead of Red Bull. Well, they've done absolutely everything they've needed so far.
I wouldn't so...
Oh, around goes an Alfa Romeo, but so far they have a chance. They're the only team so far to be consistently scoring points on almost every occasion. Well, now they'll grab a 1-2. Port wins the Japanese Grand Prix. Taylor second. Deer Hunter grabs third. Tweaking across the line, slides and hits the barrier in fourth. I believe Alphanesis will come home. Actually, he won't. He pitted. So Ferrari Nut.
Really? It shows
come home in fifth.
That shows on my end. Alphanesis did not pit.
Okay, then he's actually ahead. So Alphanesis fifth. Ferrari Nut sixth. Mean Fern will come home in seventh. Barely ahead of Toneless Death. What an incredible drive from Toneless and Deer Hunter to get the softs to last that long. At Tronha, he does overtake Ron Swanson, his teammate, and will grab 8th on the road, technically 9th. And Ron Swanson will technically grab the last points paying position, which is crucial because this man in 11th, Red Bull won't score points. McLaren, they will gain, 43?
Yep.
They would gain 29.
Big race for McLaren, a 1-2 result. Big race been decided. He gets 25 points into Manico, and also for Deer Hunter. You know, those 15 points, if I'm not mistaken, for P3. That can bring the thing up. There it is. Yeah, the championship will be decided. 10 points separates Minico inside of port.
Now I think we're going to have to wait for Alphanesis, which I'm not necessarily sure exactly the issue.
That's the second race in a row, and that is the most confusing thing. I'm impressed that no one on these slick tires went off with how tricky those conditions were.
Yeah, I agree. Great job to those drivers. They stayed on. Everyone in the top 7 actually stayed out. Look at Ferrari Nut, 20 laps on his hard compounded tire. We thought it was a risky move to go on the hards. It paid out.
It paid off, and I was surprised as though to make that work with the damp conditions. And yeah, for some reason, it hasn't shown Alphanesis completed yet, so this is just confusing.
I agree with that. It's very confusing.
Oh, bear with us. We'll have the interview as now the McLarens are going to do some drifting, and so does Deere. Or maybe
and Alphanesis does it well.
Al. Guess we'll do some drifting. We are in Japan after all.
Wait a minute. Okay, now the lobby's just broken.
Oh. And we're stuck on 1 second.
Great. Perfect.
Well.
Wow.
Hang on. Let's see this.
All right, I'm just going to...
Give me 1 second. I can...
So you get... I'm going to leave the lobby and go to the studio room, so if you get everyone in, that'd be great.
I'm working on it. Lucky for me, they're all one party, so... Oh. Okay, I think that's everyone.
I believe you are right with that.
Okay.
So grab this, and then you can go to P3.
Let me know when you're ready.
You're good.
Okay, well, we'll start with Deere. We'll just talk about your charge on the soft tires, going from out of the points to quickly to P3. And then you caught the front runners. Just describe your charge up the field.
It was just a tough situation. Our Mercedes teammate over at Williams literally crashed out at the worst possible time, right as I was going past the pit lane. And I just got caught out there. You know, hards, I would have been too slow, couldn't have made it through the field, so I was kind of forced to go to softs, even though team didn't want me to. I kind of believed in myself and the pace, and I gotta say, that's probably one of the best drives I've had on the F1 games. I've been doing these F1 games for going on 8 years now, and that's probably one of my best drives. But in the end, it's just disappointment. I feel like I deserve that win. I think I proved I did, but tweaking decided to play a little bit of cat and mouse there at the end and be stupid. So that cost me. GG's to Port and Taylor. They drove good races. It's just disappointing, man. I really could have won this race.
Well, no one's going to deny with the effort. I mean, some of the moves that you were doing, it was pretty impressive. I mean, even at the hairpin, you sent it, and even more than once. I think you sent it on one of the Ferraris. I mean, you were not afraid to pull the trigger. And you gained 15 points on your rival, Maniko, in the championship. I know you wanted to win, but in terms of that, do you feel at least positive about that?
Well, it was just we knew one of these races was going to be one to capitalize because Manika wasn't going to be here today, so it's like a 50-point gap. The goal is to cut it down to one race, and I knew this would be a good track in the race for me. I knew it would. Once I found a setup I really liked, this track really came to me. It really started to come alive, and I think I showed that. So to answer your question, it's just, it's like I said, it's just a little bit of disappointment because I only gained, 16 points? That's still 35 points. We're still, kind of the chasers and need a little bit of luck here. So, if we can have Cookie up there battling solidly in the points and fighting the Red Bulls, that'd be lovely. If we got the McLarens keep doing it, that'd be lovely. But I don't know how many more chances like this we're going to get. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Well done. Well, it was a tremendous drive, and we certainly loved watching it. We'll move on to Taylor, who finishes P2. You had a couple of moments, especially that one moment on the final corner to the front stretch, finishing P2. Just describe the conditions the last 3 laps with the rain coming. How much of a handful was the car during those moments?
Oh, it was definitely inners. It was inners by the time we were on the penultimate lap, so immediately knew we were going to be absolutely nowhere for grip. But we stuck it out. I knew Deere was going to be catching because, he's like a little cheeky bugger, and I know what he's doing. And yeah, just treacherous. You make one false move and you're done.
Well, it's Japan. If you do that in the dry, you're done. If you make one false move, especially if you touch the curbs. Notice, was it intentional for Port to kind of keep you within 1 second after y'all swapped?
I told him not to. He decided that he would want to keep me there. Even though I knew it wouldn't matter. I was going to be able to defend without DRS if it came down to it, so wasn't really strategy. He decided to do it on his own accord.
And certainly not last but not least, y'all gained the maximum points y'all could get, provided the fastest lap. Deere, I believe, got that with his charge on softs, but...
Mumu got it.
Oh, well, Mumu got it. Okay, well... Either way.
But he was outside the point, so it won't matter.
Right, but it does take a point away from at least Mercedes.
Yeah.
But just talk about in terms of finishing 1-2. We'll get to your teammate in a minute. For the championship.
This just blew it open. We weren't expecting to pull a lead. Once they got tweaking, we're like, all right, this was our run. We're just gonna let it die out slowly. And then I look behind me as we go into the hairpin and see Mumu tag the grass and put it in the barrier. So that immediately was just like, oh my god, we have a chance. And so, yep, a lot of mistakes from Mumu, if we're being honest.
Well, a lot of mistakes here and there for Red Bull with both of their drivers. More or less, you could say on Mumu than tweaking. But well done to you and P2, and well done to McLaren, and we'll go to catch up with interview with inside of Port.
Port going in, 35 points down on the championship lead. Coming out, you're now 10 points adrift going into Dakota. It's going to be a home Grand Prix for yourself and a numerous amount of other drivers. But now you got that championship close. How did you win that Japanese Grand Prix? Tell us from your side.
So, I honestly did not think I was going to win that. As soon as Cookie binned it in lap 1 or 2 or whatever, I thought that was the win gone for. And then when that VSC came out, Mumu pit, I was like, yeah, okay, that was stupid. He's done for. And so then it was kind of just fighting Tweak and Deer. And then once they kind of killed each other into the final chicane, I don't know how many laps from the end that was. Taylor and I were kind of just yelling at each other to don't crash and just keep your heads down. That last lap was horrific. I almost died about 3 times. Definitely time for inners, but full sends only. So caught the dub today and back in the championship fight.
Championship fight is now heating up once again. You definitely are back. But what about the constructors going in? You were 3 points adrift, or I'm sorry, 3 points ahead, should I rather say. Now you're going to be even further ahead. I believe 29 points you'll gain on Red Bull this week. That'll put the gap at about 32 going into Dakota. 1-1-2. Now you have a championship gap. Now you have a buffer.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, good vibes. Cannot, I'm going to have to miss one of these races coming up because of work, but hopefully we can keep extending this lead, and Miniko does some dumb stuff, so, yeah.
It's possible. But now going on, Coda a week from now, and I want you and your teammate to kind of butt in on this when you have the chance, so be respectful to each other, work it out, you're grown adults. A home Grand Prix for both of you. Not necessarily for McLaren as a team, but both the drivers in McLaren are American. It's Coda. You have a shot.
Yeah. Yeah. There's enough straights there that we could be a bit of a menace. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think we can replicate what we just did.
That'd be nice.
With enough mistakes. With enough mistakes. We got that.
We'll see how it works out. And it's going to be fun indeed, because the American Grand Prix, the Grand Prix of the United States, is a week from now. And a lot of us are going to have fun in the Breakout Racing League. But for myself, hey, Catcher, that wraps it out for the Japanese Grand Prix. To get the rundown order for those, because we didn't get it this time, Unsighted Port wins the Japanese Grand Prix from his teammate Taylor Clan in second. Deer Hunter third, rounds out the podium. Tweaking fourth. Fifth being Alphanisa. Sixth being Ferrari Nut. Seventh, Meanford. Eighth, Tweaking. Ninth and 10th, the Ferraris. Edson ahead of Ron Swanson. Luciano gets 11th. Mumu in 12th. He will get the fastest lap, but it will not count. Chili in 13th. Raptor 14th. Dixie Ishigo 15th. Bailey 16th. Cookie in 17th. Wraith in 18th. 19th being Feta Cheese. And we lost KP21 from the Japanese Grand Prix. But once again, from myself, hey Katra, from Juan the Booth, from Unsighted Port, from Taylor, from Deer, and the entirety of the Breakout Racing League Realistic Tier, we applaud you. We thank you for watching. On to Dakota next week. But first, tomorrow we have the tier racing, the equal tier racing of the Breakout Racing League, Tier 3 and Tier 4 at the Japanese Grand Prix at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Saturday, we have Tier 2 and Tier 1 at 8 and 10 Eastern Standard Time, respectively. And then on Sunday and Monday, we have ACC as they tackle their next Grand Prix. They have ACC Tier 1 at 7 and ACC Tier 2 on also 7 on Sunday and Monday, respectively. And then we'll come back at Coda on Wednesday for the Formula 2 round of the United States Grand Prix. And then a week from now, on Thursday, same time, same place, the United States Grand Prix for the BRL Realistic Tier. But once again, thanks for watching. Myself, Katra, and a good night.